Welcome to Unpack the NEWMAC, where we dive into the inner workings of the conference, the stories behind the stats, and the prestigious awards that make the NEWMAC a powerhouse in Division III. We'll celebrate the academic excellence of our student athletes, the incredible leadership of our coaches and administrators, and break down the path to becoming national champions. It's a lot to unpack, and we're here to do it. It's time to unpack the NEWMAC.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unpack the NEWMAC. Today, we're joined by one of the most decorated players in Division III and a NEWMAC legend, Joey Flannery, four-time NEWMAC Player of the Year, a national champion, and now he's being inducted into the Small College Basketball Hall of Fame. So we're really excited to welcome Joey.
Thanks, Lindsay. Appreciate it. Happy to be here, and I love what you guys are doing.
We're excited to have you. We have gotten to talk to a few alums, but certainly you are, like I said, a legend. Everyone in the NEWMAC office still talks about that championship run. So we're really excited to chat about it today. And we will get there, but let's kind of go back to the beginning. What originally drew you to Babson?
Yeah, that's a good question, Lindsay. So, honestly, when I decided to do a post-grad year, I started to look at a whole host of new schools. And I really developed a relationship with Coach Brennan, Jeremy Veens, who was an assistant back then, and even some of the players early on. So after I kind of got started through the process and figured out, how I could get in and kind of fit, it was really a no-brainer in the sense of the coaching staff having the opportunity to play right away, and then also just had a great group of guys that I know were returning. It was a place I really felt comfortable with, and obviously a great academic school. And I felt I wanted to do business. Obviously never left the game of basketball, but for me, it was really just a no-brainer. And I ended up committing even before my post-grad year started, just because I knew it was the right fit for me in a place that when I left campus after several visits, I just knew deep down I was where I wanted to be, and ultimately wanted to come here and help the program win. So,
well, you certainly accomplished that. When you stepped on campus, kind of your first year, did you ever envision the success that you would have?
Yeah, I had set pretty lofty goals for myself, and certainly wanted to, win a national championship and become the best player I could be. But you kind of really never know how things are going to play out. So I set my goals high, and I cannot say that I expected to have a great rookie or freshman year. And honestly, I started out in the fall and pick up and captain's practices and whatnot, and I was nowhere close to where I was at the middle of the year. And credit goes to my teammates and coaches for really, giving me confidence and kind of getting me acclimated and kind of lighting a fire under me and showing me that I was capable of more, and then was able to kind of turn it on, and the light went on early. And fortunately, I was had three seniors my freshman year, and then three really close juniors who made it pretty easy on me. And honestly, I was relied on to score the ball. We had a great point guard who made that part easy. So I definitely give a ton of credit to those guys for the success that our team was able to have that first year here in 2013-14, getting an NCAA tournament, and definitely my individual success. So I'll never take sole responsibility for that.
Obviously, your senior year, you won the national championship, so that's obviously a memory that you'll never forget. But looking back to maybe your first or second years, are there any specific memories that stand out from those early years?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember one pickup game my freshman year. One of our juniors, Dave Mack, who was a great player here, really, really pulled the kind of competitiveness and confidence out of me. and drove me to be more aggressive. And that really helped me. That was, can imagine and picture it right now on the first court going on the sideway in Stocky Gym. So that was a big one for me, and really helped me get going and started to feel more comfortable here. Second year, my sophomore year, definitely had some ups and downs along the way. I remember a home game. I think it was probably the worst game of my career here. Won't name the opponent, but um, that was another one for me where it was, kind of a big face of adversity, and we were struggling a little bit. So that was another one where I reflect on, where I really challenged myself and forced myself to come out and kind of look forward and not look in the past on some of the struggles on the court, and really show that I need to work harder and commit to being a more all around player. And I think that was kind of a turning moment for me my sophomore year. So yeah, I'd say those two were big.
Yeah, you certainly, like I mentioned before, four-time NEWMAC Player of the Year, the only student athlete to do that. Rookie of the Year, your first year, two-time National Player of the Year. How did you handle maybe the pressure, and what drove you to sustain that level of success?
Yeah, I think the pressure really, I think, came from myself. I think I put a lot of pressure on myself and tried not to think about the outside noise too much. Um, but I wasn't expecting to get any of those awards my freshman year, and not sure that I deserved all of them. But really, what it comes down to is, as much as those are great and humbling honors, we wanted to win. We wanted to win a national championship, and that was something that we even started talking about our freshman year. And that was the upperclassmen. So that was really where I had my sights set on, and was fortunate that my teammates were thinking the same thing, and we were all committed to putting our individual agendas aside to be the best team we could be and to win ultimately. So it was that just competitiveness that we all had in us to win a national title. So that really focusing on that allowed me to not really worry about a lot of those other things, and I tried not to let a good day offensively or a bad day shooting the ball affect the rest of our game. And I think all of our teammates held each other accountable, as well as the coaches. So that certainly allowed me to play more freely. But again, I think I put a lot of pressure and worked super hard to become the best player I could be. But focusing on, hey, we needed to win and do whatever it takes to win, really allowed that to really allow myself to play free and with a clear mind.
Basketball is such a long season. I mean, you're looking at realistically, you're starting with those captain's practices and things like that as soon as you get back on campus, and if you're lucky enough to reach the national championship, that's a long time. How do you maintain the drive over just months and months and months?
Yeah, it's just, I think it's the love of the game, and loving to compete every day, and practice drills, 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, and at the same time doing it with people that you're really close with. And we had really connected group all 4 years here, and we just had a full, we call Babson basketball brotherhood, committed to the same thing. Um, so that was definitely a big piece of it. But we kept it fresh and we kept it lighthearted. And I'd say, kind of the tone in the locker room changed each year with the guys that came in and out, but certain things stayed the same with our our core group, and we enjoyed our time together, and we enjoyed competing. And that was really what it came down to, was we all loved to compete. We wanted to win. So we were able to, take things on, sometimes make it lighthearted. But when we were on the 94 by 50 court, we were all business. Um, so that was kind of the culture of our program, and just knowing that we took pride in what we called the dog days of February, where things get tough and you start to get heavy legs, and it becomes a little monotonous. But we took pride in all those little things and found different twists every year to make sure we were competing day in and day out at the highest level.
Absolutely. Even a postseason, it gets long. It really does. You start with the NEWMAC, and then you wait for the bid to the NCAAs, and then it's just never ending. But let's take it back to 2017. What do you remember about the grind of that postseason journey?
Yeah, that's I haven't reflected on it all too recently too much, and I remember that we obviously that our goal was to host an NCAA tournament, and we were fortunate enough to do so our sophomore year and senior year. Um, we had a tough loss to MIT, and I believe in the NEWMAC championship in 2017. That was our second loss of the year, and I don't know that we needed it, but I think it certainly helped us lock back in and kind of get back to some of the simple details of what we needed to do on both ends of the floor. But I know that, hey, we struggled in the first game against Husson in the NCAA tournament. We were down, I think, 6 or 7 with a couple minutes to play in the second round against Skidmore. And then we were able to escape those two games and get to the Sweet 16 to play Tufts and then Keene State. And it's a grind. I think everyone's battling lingering injuries, and you're quickly having to adjust to a new team and teams you haven't faced before, and teams that are prepared for you as well. So you had to kind of stick to your core values and what you did well, which fortunately was enough for us. But it's certainly a grind, in those weeks where you're day off and then a couple practices getting ready for hopefully back-to-backs is something that you got to come in focused with shorter practices, and really make sure you're detailed in your work and your approach to the upcoming game, and really just take it one game at a time. And we looked at it like a 2-game tournament each weekend, knowing that we need to win 3 of them. So we kept each other upbeat and always gave energy to our teammates, and that came from our coaches and teammates to coaches. So that certainly helped us, and just the connectedness of our group and being so close-knit that we knew what we were all thinking on the court and off the court. So that allowed us to be even more connected when we were, in crunch time down the stretch.
Yes, and I mentioned earlier that you're kind of the stuff of legend in the NEWMAC office, and I'm really not joking. I was just talking to some of our staff. I wasn't fortunate enough to be at the NEWMAC at that time. So just hearing about some of the plays that you were making in that postseason, you had a great comeback against Whitman. The block, that's the block. I think we all know the block. How often do those moments replay in your head? You said you don't reflect on it too often, but when you do you think about those moments?
Yeah. A couple of years ago, I was actually finally able to watch some of the games in their entirety, which I just couldn't get through previously. And just tons of great memories. But really what it comes down to is we were doing it with a group that was so tight. We're still, unbelievable friends and really close to this day. So that was a big thing. I definitely will wake up having nightmares about the free throw that I missed before the block. So for those that don't know, I missed the front of a one-on-one, a shot in a moment that you practice all summer for, knowing that you can potentially ice the game at the free throw line. Back rimmed it and had to get back on defense and make a play. So that one I certainly have flashbacks of, and have woken up with nightmares that I didn't block it, or the block was called a goaltend and we lost. So that one will always pop in my head, along with the Whitman comeback. And I believe it was Charlie Rice, one of our seniors, when we went down. I think we were down 25 in the first half. He brought us in, who he wasn't our most vocal guy, but he was someone we relied on and brought it every day. And he kind of said some stuff to us in the huddle, walking back to the huddle actually, when we had called a timeout after Whitman went on a big run. and kind of got us in the mindset of, hey, we have to get stops defensively, and get out and run and cut it and try to trim the lead as much as we could before halftime. And I think coming right out of that timeout, we went on something like a 25-5 run, and may have been even greater had continuing that into the second half. So that's another one that I certainly think of often. And then one moment in the Skidmore game, second round, just being down, 6 or 7, like I said, with 3 or 4 minutes left on the defensive end. I still remember looking up. We couldn't score. We were struggling. They were throwing I think it was a 1-3-1, kind of a junk zone that threw us off a little bit. So for us, it was, hey, if we didn't communicate and get stops defensively, we weren't going to be able to score enough at the end. And so that's another moment that I think about where you need a lot of things to go your way, and you need some good bounces, you need some fortune, but you need tough tough guys out there who aren't afraid of the bright lights and want to compete every time, that are connected. And that's what we had. And we were able to overcome some big comebacks and never kind of lose our fight or our confidence in each other.
Amazing. Does it feel like, I think about this all the time.
It feels a long time ago. It feels like a long
Say,
time ago, Lindsay.
does it feel like yesterday, or does it feel like a long time ago? Because now you're edging towards like a decade
Yeah,
here.
no, it feels like a long time ago. I mean, I believe let's see, when did I? Yeah, so last year I was telling guys that I was a freshman, 10 years ago here. So since getting back here last September, it's definitely felt like a longer and longer time with each day. But some of those memories are just still so vivid. So at the same time, even when I go out in the court this morning for practice, like, it still feels the same, and you can still envision yourself, in the jersey versus, on the sidelines in a quarter zip. So some of those are still, very real and kind of bring that emotion and, almost jitters out of you. But at the same time, it was a while ago, and happy to be on the other side of it now, where it shows that the players are what wins the game, so we're relying on them this year.
Yeah, sometimes as a coach, it's tough to, you know, I guess as a player, you feel like you have some control, and as a coach, you do kind of, but I
Yeah,
even
a lot of
coaching
things are out of your control. A lot of things
yeah,
are out of your control, and that's certainly been an adjustment in having gotten into coaching. um, and that, hey, you have to have trust in your guys, and at the end of the day, they're the ones making the plays, they're the ones calling out the coverages when the ball's at the other end of the court. So it just provides a different set of challenges for coaches, but it's something that I really um, enjoyed getting comfortable with here, and looking forward to continue to growing on.
so that's a great segue into coaching. So obviously, you won the national championship your senior year. What a way to go out. Couldn't write it better than that, right? Um, After graduating, you had a chance to go play professionally in Spain. How did that experience playing overseas kind of shape the coach that you've become?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, being at Villanova really shaped me as a coach, you know, but because I was so focused on playing in my year in Spain. But at the same time, it's a different style of basketball over there. I was able to learn a lot of different things, and, um, be in some difficult situations and challenges being in a foreign country where, I didn't speak the language. So it opened my eyes up to a whole set of other things, and kind of, a different approach to development in basketball, seeing that in the European style, um, and a whole host of things. But I think for me, once I was done with that year, I was um, certain that I was, I think I was going to hang up the shoes and get into coaching. So I was sold on that, and certainly learned from the coaches I had overseas too, and some of the ones we played against. And it gave another year to kind of keep learning the game and studying film and whatnot, to prepare myself for coaching. So incredible experience, and something that I haven't thought too much about how that year has shaped me as a coach. More so of what it did for me as a person. Um, but certainly, my time at Villanova was incredible, and learning from Coach Wright and a ton of assistant coaches who had tons of knowledge and experience, and just, some of the most talented players in the game who taught me a lot too. So it was, kind of a perfect, alignment there for me to develop and grow and, earn more responsibility each year. And then, hey, Coach Brennan and the assistants we had at Babson taught me a lot too. And, I wasn't set on coaching at that point. I think I was so focused on my playing career and trying to have a career overseas that, but looking back on it, I've certainly reflected on, how I looked at the game as a player for Babson and now for Coach Brennan and now as a coach for Coach Brennan. So I've certainly reflected on that. And I think took a lot from Coach Brennan with me to Villanova and tried to use those experiences combined with the things that we were learning from Coach Wright and the staff of Villanova to kind of, form, my way of doing things, which of course is going to be under the leadership of Coach Brennan. But everyone has their own style and own approach to things and different twists. So it's kind of been, all those, those three experiences have really shaped me thus far, along with last year here.
So obviously you mentioned Villanova. It's, one of the most successful programs. It's the Division I program. Probably much different than what you were maybe used to here at Babson. But if you could maybe pinpoint the biggest lesson you learned at Villanova, what would that be?
Yeah, I'd say relationships and, how important that is with, to your culture and your program, but also just the attention to detail and the work ethic you need to be successful in this industry as a coach, and to put your players in a position to succeed on the court where you have to have the habits and the details down so that when you're in the crunch down 6 in the NCAA tournament, you're resorting to your habits, and that's what's going to allow you to succeed. So, attention to detail along with, tons of leadership and how to treat people, and just amazing stuff from Coach Wright and the staff that, I think about every day and continue to reflect on and grow from.
So can you tell us a little bit about how you ended up back at Babson?
Yeah, absolutely. So, once is actually one of my good friends, Matt Droney, left to take a prep school job at Dexter Southfield. This position, this opening arose, and once I kind of waited out and, had always been in contact and close connection with Coach Brennan, but once we kind of talked through it and I got my head wrapped around it, I knew it was just the right spot for me and being back home in a place I take a lot of pride in a program that I care about deeply. So being able to return home and be closer to family and get back to the Division III level in a great conference was just really a no-brainer for me. So, grateful that I'm able to be back here and be back united with Coach Brennan and Dorian Bryan, who is still an assistant for us and was when we played. So that was kind of how that came about. It was really late last summer and really started like September 1. So it was thrown right in with a team that I didn't, have a part in recruiting. So had to do a little bit of learning on the fly and figuring it out. But I knew right away once kind of we got everything sorted out and the opportunity was there that this was definitely where I wanted to be. And, a place I take a lot of pride in, like I said.
Having now been overseas, you've been Division I, you've been Division III. What do you love the most about Division III? It's very unique, obviously.
Yeah, it is very unique. Excuse me here. I love a lot of things about it. I think, one thing to me that stands out having done it as a player is you don't have the time with the coaches in the off season or the fall or the spring. So it puts a lot of responsibility and ownership on the players for their individual development. You can help them in some ways, but that part I loved as a player, being able to work on your game in the off season, and then also have captains practices where you're working on your leadership and developing more of a team led, player led program. But there are challenges with that, and it's frustrating as a coach at this level where you can't work with guys as much, and assist them in their development. But really, I just think it's a spot where, especially today's day and age and in basketball and the landscape of how things have changed, you can still kind of do it, where you develop guys, you have guys there for 4 years at great academic institutions and just great places. Um, and you can really still have that culture and build it year after year, and not dealing with the transfer portal as much and the NIL and some of that stuff. So I think it's just a pure level of basketball. We have guys who really value, and I think a lot of guys at this level do, is the academics, the basketball, and kind of all aspects where you're trying to be your best self in every way possible, but still, still having the same commitment level and love for the game, is something I think makes it so special. And you have coaches who are extremely devoted to their players, their teams, and really it's intense once October 15th hits, and I've really enjoyed being back here. And I just think it's such a pure level of basketball that I love Division III so much, and being able to still be in just an amazing conference in the NEWMAC that's competitive nationally year in year out with a ton of great coaches and historically successful programs. So we're really fortunate here, and I'm certainly fortunate to be back here at this level and in the NEWMAC and with Coach Brendan here at Babson.
Yeah, it's definitely Division III, I think, both for coaches and for student athletes, you have to love it. If you don't love it,
Exactly.
why play, I guess, is really it. So there's just so many other things that can pull you away. So I think every Division III student athlete truly loves the game, which is always fun to watch those games.
Absolutely. Everyone's certainly doing it for the right reasons, and they have that passion and drive. And I think less student athletes will take it for granted at this level. Just kind of seeing what else is out there and knowing that you still have a ton on your plate to do at some of these schools like Babson, where you can't miss class, you can't get around certain things. You have to be constantly on working on and off the court and in the classroom.
Right. So let's fast forward a little bit. Now we're last summer, or this past summer, we find out that you are being inducted into the Small College Basketball Hall of Fame. When you first learned that, what was your reaction?
Yeah, I was certainly surprised. I had followed, and seen the Small College Basketball organization, and really something that I hadn't thought of after getting in the Hall of Fame here at Babson. I thought that was kind of going to be the end of it, and continue with my coaching journey. So, extremely grateful and honored and humbled when I first heard it and talked to John McCarthy, and just knowing that I'll be up there with a bunch of incredible players who have had tremendous success, and being one of the younger guys is an honor. And I just hope I'm deserving of this, honestly, seeing some of the names up there. So I'm excited. But again, like, this is, none of this, I don't receive any of these awards, and none of this happens if we don't win. And that was certainly a team effort, and something that we do think a lot, team awards and stuff that, our whole program and all of the players that we play with should be very proud of as well.
Absolutely. So kind of along that vein, I was thinking, individually and personally, I'm sure it's a great honor, but what does it mean to you as a representative of Babson and even the NEWMAC and Division III athlete? I mean, we could go,
Yeah, no, I'm extremely, proud to represent Babson in this, and kind of help show that Babson should be on the national stage year in and year out. That's what we're going to continue to strive for. And then, of course, representing this conference is great. And there's tons of, incredible players who have come through, the conference dating back, many years. So again, just really humbled and honored, and I certainly don't ever take it for granted that I was able to play college basketball, play here, have great success as a team, and then being able to represent, a great organization and a great school is something that I don't take lightly, and I never will.
Yeah, I don't know if many people understand how difficult it is to play college sports in general. I mean, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but
Mhm.
I think like 7% of student athletes in high school go on to play college sports at any level, whether that's Division 3, Division 1, Division 2. So the fact that you were able to play and succeed at such a high level, um, when you think back on your time as a player, what do you hope people remember about Joey Flannery?
Yeah, as a player, I think just, my compete level, unselfishness and just how much I wanted to win day in and day out, and knowing that I would do whatever it takes to get the job done, whether that be, defensively, offensively, passing the ball, scoring it, hustle plays, being physical, all that types of stuff where I try to take pride in being a great teammate and someone who was just committed to competing day in and day out and practicing in games in an effort to win big. And that's kind of what I hope to be remembered as. I don't care as much about the points and the accolades as I do um, about being a teammate, because really it was, being a part of something much bigger than myself here at Babson, and doing it with guys I call brothers, and um, coaches like Coach Brennan, who have been great mentors and just role models for myself.
So you're, in the grand scheme of things, relatively in your coaching career infancy here.
Mhm.
What's your goal? Would you like to stay at the Division 3 level? Are you open to coaching at a higher level? I mean, what's, 15, 20, 30 years down the line, where do you hope to be?
Yeah, I would love to stay at this level. Um, I've really enjoyed this thus far, but I want to win. I want to win another national championship here at Babson. So that's kind of what we have our goals on now. But um, that's in terms of the metrics, but really just having an impact on these student athletes and setting themselves up for life and teaching them about basketball, academics, how to handle yourself on and off, and just being a great person is something that we're really striving to do, and certainly myself. And there were tons of people that had such a big impact on me, and have given so much time and effort and develop relationships with me that I want to give that back, and something we're working hard to do. And at the end of the day, just be a great person, and be there for these student athletes who care so much is just a lot of where the enjoyment comes from. But we certainly want to win another title at the end of the day.
That's a great goal to have. Certainly, we're hoping you succeed here at the NEWMAC as well. Um, you're in season now, so I don't want to take up a lot of your time. I'm sure you're busy and tired, but just to wrap up, we have a few kind of rapid fire questions for you.
Hmm.
Um, thinking back as a player, what was your favorite gym to play in outside of Babson?
Yeah, in the new Mac.
Well, we'll go
Yeah,
NEWMAC and then we can go out of conference too.
uh, that's a good question, Lindsay. Um, hmm. I think it changed, honestly. I think it changed in time. Like I think the last couple of years, I loved playing at WPI. I liked playing at MIT early on. Um, so I think that's a mix. We only played at Amherst once. That was a great atmosphere. But really, for me, like once we got on the court, there could have been 20 people there. There could have been a couple thousand. It was just about doing it in between the lines with guys you're super close with that are on the same mission. So I tried not to think too much about that, but certainly loved playing in front of hostile crowds when they came about. Just kind of bring even more competitive spirit out of us, which we really really felt helped us in the long run.
Yeah, I gotta love those hostile crowds. I enjoyed it as a player too. Nothing better than shutting up a crowd, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So thinking back again as a player, were there any opponents where you were just like, you knew it was going to be a battle, just hard-nosed battle?
Yeah, I think WPI and the NEWMAC was always one, and just their style and the way they play, just being physical, tough. I remember, I definitely struggled first couple of years with some of their coverages that we had to adjust to. And there are some great coaches in the conference who gave us fits. We had Jim O'Brien was at Emerson early on. Larry Anderson at MIT was definitely played some head games with us that provided a fair share of struggles for myself when he would play off me at the three, and I wasn't as good of a shooter earlier in my career as I was later. So definitely had some fits in a conference that is extremely physical and tough and full of great coaches where I think some of these other conferences don't have the same battles every night where any team top to bottom can beat anyone in the NEWMAC. And it's just a physical, gritty conference that I think provides different challenge every year and every game, especially with the coaches we have in the league and some of the talent across the board from a player standpoint.
Absolutely. We have some of the best coaches around for sure. Any superstitions?
Pre-game, you mean, when I was a player?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot. One of my, I would always kind of a couple minutes left in warm up, so I'd usually go back to the locker room real quick. Remember, towards the very end of warm ups, I would go over to the bench and talk to one of our managers, who's one of my best friends still to this day, and just kind of get my head clear. I used to drink a coffee Gatorade mix day before game, or the day. I'm sorry, the morning, afternoon of the game.
That sounds
I had
disgusting,
I
by the
had
way.
I had a lot. I had certain shots that I needed to get up every game day. I did a pretty meticulous workout and sometimes lift on the day of games where, I would shoot 100 free throws every day of game. Had to make 90 or more, 90 out of 100 or better to get to my next thing. So stuff like that. I had actually a good one for you. I had these socks with the shamrock on the back. I think there were some Celtics NBA socks, but they were kind of my lucky socks my junior and senior year. We actually played on St. Patrick's Day in that Whitman comeback. I did not bring the socks with me from the hotel to the gym. So, I don't know that really affected me, but I think I did think about it when we were down 25. I remember I couldn't get back to the hotel to go get the socks for the game. So I had some white Nikes that I drew a poor looking shamrock with black Sharpie. And that was kind of one of the things that I had where it's just certain things that, I felt I needed to kind of just get done so I could get out there and play with a clear head. But with all those things, like once the ball went up in the air, I just trusted the work that I'd put in, and I feel like I had, the habits and the reps in where once that ball went up on the center jump, I wasn't thinking as much. So certainly a lot of rituals and stuff like that. I'm sure there are more that aren't coming to mind, but not as many right now as a coach. I'm sure some will come up.
I have to go back to the coffee Gatorade mixture.
Yeah, you can. Kevin Garnett once said that was something he did when he needed a little extra boost. So I tried it and stuck with it. I don't do it anymore though. That was 2017. That was done for good.
What flavor Gatorade? Did it matter?
Red Gatorade from the dining hall with just a black iced coffee, like half and half.
All right. Well, I guess it worked.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. I think I enjoyed the taste back then, but kind of interesting mix.
For sure. I'm gonna throw one at you. I said before, you really couldn't have written the movie any better.
Mhm.
If someone's playing you in the Joey Flannery biopic, who's playing you?
Oof. I don't know. Who do you have?
I don't know. I've been thinking about it.
Oh man, I might need
I
to
don't
come
know.
back on that one. Mm, I don't think I have an answer for you. I don't think
I threw a curveball at you.
you did throw a curveball at me. I don't watch a ton of movies, TV. I kind of stick to the sports and games and film. So that's a tough one. I probably just play myself.
All right, there you go. I
Yeah,
like
is
that.
that what-
Confidence. All right, last one. You have one word to describe what Babson basketball means to you. What's that word?
Everything. I would say the world, but that's two words. So I mean, it means a great deal to me, and like I said, I take a lot of pride in it. It's just something so special, and it's just a brotherhood that everyone from the '60s guys, alums we talked to from the '60s, '70s, '80s, '90s, all take so much pride in it and just love the program and what Coach Brennan and the other coaches have helped build. But it means everything to me for sure.
I love that. That's such a good answer. So the today in the future when we release this is the day that you will be inducted into the Small College Basketball Hall of Fame. Um, I just want to say congratulations. That's such an incredible honor. Are you going to be able to attend? Do you plan on going down to Florida
Yep.
to be in attendance?
Yep. So we look at my schedule real quick. So that's on a week from today. Fly in Thursday night. We have practice at 3:30. I'll fly down to Tampa, and then I'll take a 6 a.m. flight back on Saturday, November 1st, to get back in time for practice. And then we'll have a scrimmage on that Monday and a game 5 days later. So originally, it's something that certainly means a great deal, and I'm honored by. But I didn't want to miss any of the practices or affect our team in any way with the start of our season coming up. So luckily, we were able to work around it, figure out the practice schedule, and had an off day mixed in that helps us out. So we'll be down there with my family, Coach Brennan, and I believe our athletic director and a few others. So really excited for that. And really thank you for having me on and the well wishes there.
Thank you, and I hope you enjoy every second of it. You said earlier you didn't think you deserve it. Well, you do. So enjoy it, soak it in, and I want to say good luck to the Beavers this season. We'll all be watching and cheering everybody on. But congratulations and thank you so much for joining me today.
All right. Thank you so much, Lindsay. Appreciate it.
Thank you.